So let me know if there's any sound or video trouble in the chat. I think we're okay. And look at this box. It arrived on a very rainy day. It took a little bit of a beating, and then getting the labels off wasn't fun either. All right, so yeah, we're taking a look at the One Ring. So this is just a standard pledge. They did a collector's cover. And I don't think they changed the paper quality or anything with that. They just do kind of a faux leather treatment. And I really love the Martin Grip artwork, so I didn't opt for that. Plus, it was like another $40 or something like that for the same book. All right, but we'll see if we can get this open. I've got another game that just showed up, the sequel to Nemesis. The box is so big, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that on camera. I really miss the giant table at my office in the city to be able to do this kind of stuff. I got a much smaller desk here, but we'll give this a shot. All right, so this is the I guess kind of the second edition. There was a revised edition, so Cubicle 7. I'll do this when I'm unboxing. So this is just kind of the preamble. I'll cut to some artwork, and then I'll use that to trim, so I can kind of make this a little bit more a little less rambly, a little bit more professional. Hey K5, how's it going? Hey Matt and Chris, good to see you guys in the chat. Nice. All right. So yeah, the Swedish version of the actually they got the original designers, so it's a kind of streamlined second edition of the game. And yeah, the artwork is excellent. They did as always, they did a nice job. So we'll take a look at that, and I'll do a whole flip through of the book. Oh yeah, I should have put that in the description, shouldn't I? I'll edit that. But yeah, I'll do a flip through the book so you can see how it's laid out. It's a beautiful layout, as Free League usually does. And they did have a little trouble. Well, this was delayed significantly. They had some logistic problems, like everybody did during this time, and had a shipment, I think, with their starter sets and their GM screens that got all hung up. So things were late to get fulfilled. And then they had a printing problem with their feet dice. Somehow the 1 became an 11 on the dice. some sort of miscommunication. So I think they're going to reprint them and then ship them at their own expense to replace them. But I think we can still figure out a 1 should be an 11. As long as it's not on the D12s. Yeah, that might be a little confusing. All right, so we'll take a look at how things came out, and then flip through the book. And also starter set too. So we've got I should get a knife ready. And there's a starter set in here as well, which is Hobbit based. So we'll take a look at that. All right, so I'll go to the artwork, and then we'll come back and open this up. All right, so give me a few seconds. Welcome to another unboxing. So this time it's the One Ring. So second edition, One Ring by Free League. So originally the first edition, which is now 10 years old, was published by Cubicle 7, and they did a revised edition as well. So it was a little confusing. I think in 2010, 2011 they did their first edition, and then 2014 they did a revised edition, which everything they had produced was still compatible for. They were getting ready, Cubicle 7 was getting ready to do a second edition, and they even announced it, and then they either dropped or lost the license, and then Free League picked that up. So Free League has had a lot of success with licensed IPs, and some people that I've talked to are a little worried about that. That's not a sustainable thing, and those licenses come and go. So hopefully it's they're making good decisions. They're choosing good properties. They've got a Blade Runner RPG coming out later this year. But this is the One Ring. So the second edition of One Ring with a little bit different setting. The area of the first game was kind of identifiable Middle Earth. This is it's all Middle Earth, but a little bit away from the action of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. So let's open this box up and see how it looks. So of course this this box looks like it's been back and forth to Mordor itself to cause this much damage. And also, that's right, this year we've got a Amazon, the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings series coming. So hopefully we can cling to this game for some Tolkien goodness and avoid Amazon. So let's take a look at how things came out. All right, so heavy bubble up. Oh, wow. Oh, you're kidding. That's a really nice, so the texture of the book. Oh, but look at that corner. Get out of here with that corner. I'm glad I didn't order the super expensive version that was dropped on the corner. That's an Amazon style piece of damage. I think everything I've ever ordered from Amazon comes like that. But look at that, the spot varnish on that, and it's like a fabric. The texture is really nice. I mean, I guess I'll eventually do that kind of damage myself, but wow. Yeah, the book came out really nice. I'm sorry, I'm getting the glare, but look at the Martin Grip artwork on the front. It's got a really nice texture. Yeah, I'm really surprised it's not the typical kind of glossy look and feel. All right, and here is the starter set with the hobbits on the front. So this is a typical starter set with pre-gen characters and a condensed version of the rules, like a simplified or edited version of the rules to let you learn the system, and an adventure to kind of walk you through the different mechanics. So we'll take a look at that. Oh, and I threw in, I wonder if these got misprinted as well. They didn't say. I got a set of the Sauron dice. So I think in the starter set we've got a pair of the kind of bone colored dice, and I got the black and reds just so the game master can roll different dice. All right, and there's so I didn't get the GM screen. There was like a Rivendell collection that had a GM screen. That's still available. I was trying to stay like under $100 for this because I wasn't sure. I was still waiting to see how they were going to do. But there is a GM screen as well. So this is what was included in what they called the Fellowship of the Ring pledge. So the starter set, standard core book, and not these dice, but everything that's available here. So I guess let's start with the starter set. That seems to be an easy thing to do. So let me get the plastic off of this so you can see it without all that glare. Oh, so nice. Yeah, we got much. Oh, yeah, there you go. Look at that. A nicer, more satiny finish. Not so glossy. Yeah, I really like the quality of Free League's printing. They do a nice job. All right, so let's find out what's in this starter set. So a strange invitation from Cousin Bilbo mentioning that he is indeed in need of help. Most odd, but then again, a great many things about this particular hobbit have been odd. Ever since his business with the dragon. Nothing wrong with this, with taking a stroll and helping old Bilbo out, I suppose. After all, there aren't any dangers to worry about here in the Shire. All right, so we are all relatives of Bilbo. Isn't everybody related to Bilbo? And so this is the introduction. I believe the first edition was set in Hobbiton too, like the first book that they released, and then of course they released supporting expansions. So the One Ring starter set contains all you need to take your first step into Middle Earth and experience the adventures hobbits get up to. With streamlined rules and ready-to-go characters, it is easy to quickly sit down and play the game. The One Ring is set between the time Bilbo went on his journey and the events of The Lord of the Rings, allowing you to explore the Shire by taking the roles of some hobbits, whose children will go on to do extraordinary things, such as Drogo Baggins, Rory Brandybuck, and Esmeralda Took. So the box includes a 24-page condensed rules, 52-page compendium covering the 4 farthings of the Shire, all the way from Greenholm in the west to Buckland and the Old Forest in the east. A 32-page volume containing 5 exciting adventures to play, 8 double-sided pre-generated character sheets, a huge full-color double-sided map of the Shire and Eriador, 30 war gear cards for weapons and armor, 6 double-sided journey roll and combat stance cards. Oh yeah, those looked interesting. We'll take a look at those as well. 2 D12 feat dice and 6 D6 success dice. So I think you could, as an add-on, get the dice separately and the cards separately, but of course I think it was cheaper if you got them all in here. So let's see how this looks in the box. And then you've got someplace to keep them all as well. Oh, nice. Look at that. So I think, where did I see this before? Was this the Essentials kit, the 5e Essentials kit, where they kind of made the box itself a little bit of a GM screen, where they put useful data on the GM screen. So basically you can set this up and cover your rolls and everything. Oh, that's nice. So yeah, everything that all the dice modifiers and a couple of tables. Yeah, and specific Shire events, so specific to this adventure. But I like when they do that. They take advantage of some space that would have just been blank cardboard. Nice choice. All right, so here's the dice. Ooh, they're very pink. Look at the... Yeah, it looks like they did have a little bit of difficulty with all of the printing itself. They are quite pink. Not as bone-colored as I thought. All right, so the D6s are fine. Oh, so it is the D12s. I guess, yeah, the feat dice. So this is the same as the original system because they got the original designers. Yeah, but the very similar to Free League's custom dice that they've done for other games. These feel good. Nice and heavy and good size. But yeah, that red sure did, whoa, bleed. If you can see that, but yeah, the dice look from a distance very pink, like you had a red sock in the laundry there. So here's the feat dice. I can't believe they're going to have to send a pair of these to everybody that supported the... so let's see here. So there's an 11. Oh, that's right. So the 11 itself, maybe that was the confusion, is 11 and 12 have icons. So I believe... I'm going to get this wrong, I know. So the 12 is the Eye of Sauron, and the 11 is Gandalf's Ruin. So that's probably where the confusion came in, is because they looked on these dice and said, okay, so there is an icon for 12. There's no 11. So let's put the 11 here. So yeah, 1 became 11. So you're just going to have to remember every time you roll an 11 that is actually a 1. So 11 and 12 have special effects. So basically, Gandalf gives you a guaranteed success, and the 12 gives you a failure. So yeah, they I don't know if it's just me, but they look very pink. I'm not sure how that's coming across on camera, but those are very pink dice. So yeah, that must have been the confusion, is maybe someone doing some checking at the last minute said, wait, there's no 11 on these dice. And they didn't know the system. But yeah, nice quality dice as always. Their custom stuff is always really nice. All right, so let's take a quick detour and look at the Sauron dice set as opposed to those. So yeah, I just wanted another set to kind of differentiate so we can kind of pass things around. And you can use, of course, just keeping in mind, like, there's really a results table in the rule book. Oh yeah, these look nice though. So same exact quality, just different color. So kind of a shinier black with the red, but the red didn't seem to bleed as much. But let's see here. Oh yeah. So I wonder if they're going to replace these two. Yeah, I've got an 11 on these as well. Yeah, so they did. I'm sure it was the same template, just a different color. So yeah, but I like how those look as well. I guess in low light they'd be a little bit more difficult to read, but yeah, I like that color contrast. So I guess I'll be waiting for my 2 sets of corrected feat dice, and just have to remember. I'll just fill in one of those ones with some black paint. All right, and we will not eat any of that. And their catalog, the ever-expanding catalog. Yeah, so they've got their so Forbidden Lands, their original, Tales from the Loop, original, and then Twilight 2000, ASN, Coriolis. There's still a lot of original, but yeah, they're going to be adding Blade Runner, so Alien, Blade Runner, and The One Ring to their catalog. All right, so here are the stance cards, which I think are quite a kind of a useful, interesting thing at the table, and then equipment. So let's take a look at the stance cards first. That's great. They've got a lot of... All right, so nice linen finished card. Nice. So you can see there's four different stances: defensive, forward, open, and rearward. Rearward. Wow, I'm not going to be able to say that during the game. Rearward. And so close combat, defensive, close combat, forward, close combat, open, and rearward is ranged combat. And then they give a description under each. For each player here in the rearward, there must be at least 2 other adventurers in close combat stances, and enemies can't outnumber adventurers by more than 2 to 1. You can only attack with and be targeted by ranged, so you're kind of out of range, out of close combat. Combat task: prepare shot. In the close combat, so no advantage or disadvantage for the open stance. Combat task: rally comrades. And then the forward, close combat, your attack roll gains 1 die, and all close combat attacks aimed at you gain 1 die. So the combat task is intimidate foes. And then the defensive stance. So all close combat attacks aimed at you lose 1 die, and your attacks lose 1 die for each opponent engaging you. The combat task is perfect companion. So nice. So there's an easy way to show a stance change. And then another thing that they do is your kind of role during the hex crawl kind of exploration. So similar to what they did with Forbidden Lands, or they even have for Twilight 2000, you've got a hex crawling mechanic where you're kind of assigned a role as a guide, a hunter, a lookout, or a scout, and then that determines what you can do during that action. And so you'll make rolls to, look for danger or find food or things. So a scout is in charge of setting up camp, opening new trails. Journey event is explore. A guide is in charge of all decisions concerning rest and supplies, rule travel. A hunter is in charge of finding food in the wild, rule hunting, and a lookout, bottom here, is in charge of keeping watch, role awareness. So that's nice. They've got these to keep track of the 2 different phases, so combat and then your travel. And there's hopefully enough for all your players, so six of these. And if they made them thicker, you could put your beer on them. All right. Yeah, but they're really nice qualities. You can see they're a little glossy, but they've got that nice linen finish, so they're going to hold up to a lot of use and not have that problem that black cards have, where the color just pulls away from the edge. You immediately see damage. Let's take a look. So here are the weapons cards. So let's try to get these a little closer here. So dagger, cudgel, short sword, long sword, short spear, great spear, axe, club, long hafted axe, great axe, mattock, bow, great bow, a leather shirt, leather corset, mail shirt, coat of mail, helm, buckler, shield, and great shield. So it's nice. All the stats for each of those are on there, so make it easy to determine equipment. Oh, it's nice. And they've got kind of a description, some flavor description, the modifier, the load, so for encumbrance. And then minimum standard of living prosperous to own a great shield. Oh, so we're going to get all classist and talk about your income, are we? Standard of living common. Oh, that's nice. So it shows what you could actually equip at your character's standard of living. Nice. And it's nice to have visual depictions of the weapons. So when you're picking up or purchasing or dropping weapons and things, you can change with these cards. They did a nice job of this with the Alien game as well. And Twilight 2000 did this as well. All right, on to the map. Yeah, so this has a nice coating on it. It doesn't feel like, maybe you could. It's kind of a matte coating. I don't think you can write on this with dry erase. And there's no hexes. Oh, okay. So there aren't hexes. We're not hex crawling, are we? Nice. But let's take a look. So we have Hobbiton, or the Shire, I guess. We've got all of the Shire here, and I believe for both of the sides of this map they have made a fabric version, like a color print on cloth, which is a larger size than this. So yeah, everything marking out the Shire. So there aren't actually hexes. I thought for some reason I had hexes in mind, but you're still doing your traveling and your scouting, and then they have a dotted line to divide each of the sections. Nice, and a little detail. Yeah, it looks very very Tolkien authentic in its illustration style. Yeah, it's really nice. Oh yeah, there at the top that says the Shire, but very handmade, hand-drawn looking, so you can see all of the connections, but not hexes. Yeah. And then on the back, we have Eriador. Oh, it's a kind of wrote there. I'm going to try to get this back a little bit. Yeah. So Eriador, so the other area. So here's the Shire in the middle. And so they said that this version, the second edition, will be based more in the Eriador region because of the timing. It's taking place, before The Lord of the Rings and after The Hobbit. But, of course, they can change that, and there'll be supplements and things to support, I'm sure, other eras. But, yeah, really well done. There's some nice details in the corners. They have some illustrations of important sites and details. Yeah, but as you can see, so it feels very durable. This is not just uncoated paper. It's got a kind of a matte coating on it, so it's very thick. It's a heavier paper stock, and it's not going to tear easily, but it's not coated in a way that you could actually write on it. But because there's no hex or grid on it, you don't probably need to do that anyhow. But yeah, very, very thematic and well done. And like I said, there is a cloth version of this as well, which will be even more durable and absorbent. All right, so let's see what else we have. Oh, there we go. And we've got another map here in the bottom lid. Yeah, so a smaller reproduction of the Shire. It's nice. They didn't waste any surfaces. So yeah, what we just saw of the Shire map in a what is that, like a B5 size. So on top, these are our pre-gens. So we have Drogo Baggins, and he has his distinctive features and age, and then all of the skills are marked on there. And he has a fine cloak and hat. Confidence, +2 maximum hope. Nice. Oh, and they're two-sided as well. So, oh yeah, there we go. So there's a bigger illustration and then a description of the character. So all of Bilbo's relatives Esmeralda took. Nice. Yeah, so they're not marking anything as classes, just the skills. And so, yeah, the different combat proficiencies. Nice. So current hope and current endurance. And conditions weary and wounded. Nice. Yeah, it's great that they got a larger illustration on the back. Nice. Lobelia brace girdle. Yeah, so everyone's got a little bit of a different spread in points. She's got high strength and a little bit lower heart and wits, and can use swords better than anybody. And has an exquisite umbrella, of course. Yeah, these are nice. These are very thick, heavy. It's nice that they're two-sided as well. heavy paper stock. Paladin took a second. Nice. Turkish Wayfarer bundle. Wow, so a lot to choose from. Primula, Brandybuck. Yeah, so just how you would want to play. Maybe from the description too, give you some role-playing cues. Because a lot of these, I think, are characters that are mentioned, but we don't have, a ton of interaction from them, so role-playing cues would be helpful. Rory Mac, Brandybuck. Yeah, so maybe just a sentence or two in the actual text. Nice. Balin, son of Fundin. Oh, wow, we have a dwarf. That's right. This takes place after the Hobbit. There will be dwarves around. Nice. Dwarf made viol. A coat of silver mail. Whoa, and excellent axe proficiency. And Bilbo. Wow, they statted out Bilbo for this game as well. Nice. So brave at a pinch, mastery, and sure as a mark. And he has sting as well as his war gear. Bilbo's magic ring. Okay, we're going to have to fight over who's going to play Bilbo. Spend one hope to turn invisible. Nice. Yeah, great illustrations. I really like the artists that they choose. Nice. So both Bilbo and Balin are statted out for this starter set. Okay, so here is our book of adventures. So we'll take just a quick flip through this so you can kind of get an idea. Nice. So Conspiracy of the Red Book. Oh, nice, and they're broken up into parts, yeah. So maybe 3-part adventures. 2-part and an epilogue. And they've got art for the NPCs as well. But yeah, really nice design. I love the red ink, the kind of off-white bone color pages with the black and then the red ink. Works really well. And then the sepia, the pencil looking illustrations are all kind of sepia toned. And they've got the kind of breakout boxes to indicate important stuff. And a troll. Most excellent fireworks. Yeah, so hopefully the adventures will be fun and not not silly, or just silly enough to like kind of have the atmosphere of the Hobbit. Involuntary postman. Well, that sounds a little on the silly side. Oh, nice. Yeah. So everything is, and it's just a few pages. Like each adventure is just a few pages. And oh, here's a 3-part adventure. And the last one looks like the longest. Oh, look at that. Nice. Yeah, so here is the 5 adventures for this starter set. Here's our condensed rules. I really like the choices they made. They're very simple choices. So this is a nice thick cover on the books, on the booklets. Yeah, so they're it's not the worst thing in the world, but when the paper stock of the pages and the cover are exactly the same, so the cover takes a beating if you have to pass it around. So that's not the case here. They have nice heavy stock. Oh wow, they've got a nice thematic letter to Balin, and then examples of play. Description of In the Shire, the structure of the game, having adventures, action resolution, and we'll take a look at this in the core rule book a little bit more closely. Degrees of success, die modifiers, characteristics, Yeah, so we saw the attributes and then the skills related. So I think very similar to their other systems. They may be using skills connected to attributes. So you're adding those things together to roll a number of dice. But then we also have the feat dice included, and then the hope mechanic as well. Combat proficiencies, brawling attacks. That's a great illustration. Gandalf. Endurance and hope, valor and wisdom. Other mechanics, adventuring. So introduction scenes, end of session, and combat. So they're talking about the stances and referring to how to use the stance cards. Serious injury and death. So yeah, actually just a condensed and abbreviated version of the rules just to get you enough information to play through the adventures in the set. And here we go for the setting, or for some background. So here's the Shire book. Nice. So a brief history of the Shire. The tale of years of the Shire. Gandalf. Geography of the Shire. And here's the map again. An uncolored version. Just the sepia line. Hobbit walks. So the West Farthing. So there we go. There's the areas broken up by those dotted lines on the map. So the West Farthing. Gossip table. Nice. Dwarven scoundrels. Nice. And then NPCs and the small villages. Wow, so everything is named. Oh, nice. Wow. Beautiful. Right in the middle. Seeing some elves. The South Farthing, Long Bottom, the North Farthing. So not a lot else going on. The East Farthing, Brandywine. Nice. The Yale Wandering Elves. Oh, nice. Another full page or double spread. Wow. I love the Martin grip art. That was one of the things that really made me want to see what this book looked like. Is I really love the atmosphere. It's very different from kind of what we've seen before, not the kind of brown of the Peter Jackson films, and different from a lot of the other illustrations we've seen, even from the Cubicle 7. More painterly and atmospheric. I like his light, kind of dramatic lighting. Buckland. I guess it's called the One Ring, so I guess they have to stat the One Ring on Bilbo, and not really knowing among the hobbits that they don't really know yet what ring that is. It's just a useful ring of invisibility. Oh, the House of Tom Bombadil. Wow. Old Man Willow. That's great. Yeah, it's a lot of information then on the Shire. So even if the Game Master isn't a Tolkien obsessed person, they can have a lot of background to kind of fill things out. That's great. Wow. So that is everything in the set, the starter set. So we've got our pre-gens. What is it? 8 pre-gens, and then our 3 booklets, the map, and then the 2 sets of cards, and our pink dice. Nice. Wow. So they will be replacing those D12s. Nice. Yeah. So it's a bit of stuff. So I'm not sure what the retail of just the starter set is. But it contained, so much stuff that was available separately as add-ons. It seemed worth it to have this starting adventure and be able to do pre-gen hobbits. So that was a nice thing that they included. So let's move on to the core book itself. There we go. Look at that, and it all goes right back in the box. Yeah, and there's still plenty of room in there too. That's nice. So if there's other little supporting things, and probably even the Game Master screen and the Rivendell booklet will fit in there. That's a nice thing about those boxed sets. All right. So here we go. So the main event. Yeah, I'm still I'm not crazy about the damage, but I'm still really impressed by what they did with this book. I was expecting, because a lot of their earlier books have a similar, all the covers have a similar finish, and so I was just kind of expecting that. But I guess though with Vyesen, they did a cloth cover to match the illustration book, so that might have inspired them to try other things. But this is a great book. It has a really nice feel and nice and thick too. All right, so let's take a look. We'll start with the text on the rear. So the poem of the rings, so 3 rings for the elven kings, yada yada yada, and enter the world of Middle Earth with the One Ring, the official tabletop role-playing game based on J.R.R. Tolkien's the works of J.R.R. Tolkien, designed specifically to evoke the atmosphere of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. The game contains rules for creating heroes and sending them off on adventures in a land threatened by the growing shadow. So this beautifully illustrated, full-color hardcover manual presents Middle-earth as it was 20 years after Bilbo's remarkable disappearance and unexpected return. The great events narrated in The Lord of the Rings are still 50 years away, leaving plenty of room to narrate stories worthy of an epic. Now in its 2nd edition, the One Ring comes with updated and revised rules, a new visual style, and a focus on the land of Eriador, the lone lands west of the Misty Mountains. Among the key features are rules for traveling across the land, journey, facing frightening foes, combat, and meeting the personalities of Middle-earth Council. Thorough advice for the lore master, so lore master is the GM, on how to bring Middle-earth to life, including rules for magical treasures, the Shadow, and the Eye of Mordor. In-depth information on 6 patrons, individuals sponsoring the adventures of the player heroes, including Bilbo and Gandalf the Grey, and a bestiary containing a spread of adversaries from the lowly orc soldiers to the highway robbers to monstrous cave trolls and barrow wights. Rules to create your very own nameless things, unknowable beings from the dark corners of the world. Oh, nice. And a complete landmark adventure, The Star of the Mist, with extra support for new lore masters in the form of tutorial advice throughout. Excellent. So, Middle-earth, sophisticated games, and a free league collaboration. And it looks like we have a ribbon, ribbon bookmark as well. Oh, nice. So there's the Eriador map again in the end paper. Nice. Yeah, I love the effects they chose. Yeah, and so similar to the booklets that we saw. So a little off-white and kind of tarnished paper. So it looks like vellum or something with some age on it. And so these were the game designers and writer from the original version, I believe. And then, the concept art by Alvaro Tapia. So he's, does a lot of great stuff for Forbidden Lands and other games. And then Martin Grip's nice digital, I believe they're digital, the paintings. Those big, moody illustrations. Oh, nice. So here's the table of contents laid out in kind of a horizontal mode with each of the probably the artwork that represents the break of the chapters. So we've got the prologue and the Twilight of the Third Age, adventuring in the Third Age, playing the game, structure of the game. Then chapter 2 is action resolution, so making rolls, conditions, the character sheet. And then adventurers, so creating characters. So hero culture, bardings, the dwarves of Durinfolk, the elves of Linden, hobbits of the Shire, men of Bree, rangers of the North. And then your callings, previous experience, starting gear, starting reward and virtue, the company, experience, and further adventures. Characteristics, so talking about skills, combat proficiencies, distinctive features. And then endurance and hope. Yeah, we saw this before, the endurance and hope, and then the standards of living will be fleshed out here. Yeah, I don't think they, in the starter set, they didn't have a lot of detail about that. And then valor and wisdom, so the other mechanics, so rewards, virtue, and then the culture of virtues. So virtues of bardings, dwarves, elves, hobbits. Oh, so each people has their own virtues. The adventuring phase, so combat, council, journey, fellowship phase, the lore masters, chapter 8, so running the game, tools for lore masters, the Middle Earth lore master characters, I guess NPCs, right? The shadow, adversaries, evil men, orcs, trolls, undead, wolves of the wild, treasure, and the eye. And then chapter 9, the world, so all the background for Eriador and adventuring in Middle Earth. And then appendices of, it looks like a lot of the named characters, probably, the patrons, that's right. So you have your patrons to get your little quest givers to give your adventures from, landmarks, the Star of the Mist adventure, and then nameless things in the One Ring. And then character sheet and journey log at the end. Yep, and there we go. There's that beautiful art. So maybe let's just zoom in a little bit here. There we go. We'll do it this way so I'm not holding the book up the whole time. All right. So the prologue. And a letter from Gandalf to a dear friend. There we go. So the One Ring and description, like Twilight of the Third Age, and then adventuring, so playing the game. Nice. So description, yeah, pen and paper RPG. So Shadows of the Past, a little bit of a chronology of events. Hey, we've seen that before. Player heroes, the lore master. Oh, it's nice they're calling them, yeah, specifically heroes instead of player characters. So they will be incredibly competent. So let players feel what it's like to go adventuring in a wild and perilous land of the forgotten past. So the lore master should be familiar with the entirety of this volume. You will be game arbitrator and suggest how to work with the players. So here we go, the structure of the game. So the adventuring phase. So story building is a fundamental component of the One Ring. It isn't about hearing a story being told, but about creating one over the course of the game. So the adventure phase is the session of play and is played as a series of scenes connected sequentially in a wider narrative. A scene is a single episode focusing on the company or part of it, facing some kind of challenge and preparing for one or recovering from one. And here they're talking about the passage of time. So time passes at different rates in the One Ring. One evening spent playing may detail a single day in the life of an adventurer, skim over a month or more in their career. So during most adventuring sessions, gameplay is articulated in shorter, focused scenes that require the players to describe in detail what they do, and time passes relatively slowly with the players often keeping track of what happens every single day, with the exception of prolonged, time-consuming events like journeys or sieges. Time passes more quickly during the fellowship phase, when the lore master and the players adopt a broader approach to narration. This is best suited when dealing with endeavors that occur off-screen. Weeks or months may pass before new adventuring phases begin. A special type of fellowship phase, Yule, see page 120, also deals with the advancement chronology of the game. Tale of Years. Nice. So in the fellowship phase, and then tying it all together. So when the adventuring phase is concluded, a fellowship phase starts, with the players narrating what their characters do. And during the fellowship phase, the players can choose one or more undertaking to let them perform it during their downtime activities, directly affecting gameplay. And then tying it all together. So usually an adventuring phase will last 2 or 3 sessions of play focused on a fellowship phase, wrapping up nearly neatly what happened thus far in the adventure. So after a game, what happens are two distinct phases of the game will become more and more closely interrelated. The events during the adventuring phase lead the players to make certain choices during the following fellowship phase. In turn, the lore master will find it easy to tie the next adventuring phase into what happened during the previous fellowship phase. The results are an epic that grows out of ongoing lives of the player heroes and their deeds. Nice. Action resolution and some trolls. So rolling the dice. So the one-ring dice make use of special dice, D12s and D6s. So the D6 dice are success dice, and the two D12s are feat dice with those two icons. So of course they have their special dice, but they just tell you how to interpret reading your own. So a 6 on the D6s would have a special symbol, and then the 11. Oh, sorry, I had it backwards. So the 11 is the Sauron eye, and 12 is the Gandalf rune. So when to roll? To put it simply, the lore master should ask the die roll only if there's a possibility that the character's chosen action must fail. So this is not all there is to it. So resorting to the roll, you should consider exclusively if the action or its goal fall into one of the following categories: danger, knowledge, or manipulation. Scenes in brief. The lore master decides the situation, the player investigates the situation, and the lore master evaluates the plan. Making rolls. Oh, I feel like I can feel the ribbon there. Making rolls. So who rolls which abilities? So skill rolls are by far the most common. Skill rolls require when the player hero attempts to do something and can't be accomplished using one of the 18 skills. A combat roll involves a fight. Of course, combat proficiencies are used to make the roll, and protection rolls to avoid injured seriously when you're hit. And then shadow tests. The corrupting effect of the shadow can be resisted by valor or wisdom rolls. So when you make a roll, you roll 1 feat die plus the number of success dice. So 1 d12 plus the number of d6s equal to the rating of that appropriate ability. Roll only the feat die if the rating is 0. So you add up the numerical results on the dice, comparing them to the target number with the ability rolled. So in general terms, if you rolled equal to or greater than the target number, the roll is a success. Otherwise, it has failed. Oh, so we're not rolling. So there are target numbers. We're not rolling just for 6s or 12s. So we do have target numbers, and a successful roll indicates that the acting player hero achieves their goal, while a failure means that something went wrong. Desired goal was not achieved. So in any case, consequences for both successful and failed rolls are always determined by a well-defined change in the gameplay. And then they give you some degrees of successes and failures. Repeating a roll. So a roll, players only have one attempt at anything that is resolved with the die roll, whether they succeed or they fail. So as far as a skill is concerned, if the lore master allows it, a failed skill action can be attempted again by the same player if the failing player hero tries again using a different skill, effectively representing a different approach. And of course, the player heroes who are given a second chance must always cope with the consequences of having failed the first time. Now, interesting. And so how to read the fate die. So each fate die shows a number, 1 to 10, and then 2 special icons, Gandalf's rune and the Eye of Sauron. The 2 icons are read as follows. So Gandalf's rune is the greatest result you can get on a feat die, which shows the rune, and the action is successful regardless of whether the total result of the roll is enough to beat the target number. The Eye of Sauron icon is considered the worst possible result on a fate die, and the fate die comes up showing that icon. The feat die counts as a 0. Oh, it just counts as a 0. Okay. And then how to read the success dice. So they are special D6. So 1, 2, and 3 are shown in outline, and the numbers 4, 5, and 6 are in solid black. In addition to a success icon, an elvish symbol, which appears on the number 6. So dice are always rolled together with a single feat die. So add the result of all success dice to the result of the feat die with any icons rolled indicating a superior result on a success. So if you are successful, you meet the target number, you get superior results for every, I guess it's 6 that are rolled. Oh, interesting. So the Eye of Sauron is not an, it's just the worst possible feat die roll. It's not an automatic fail. So target numbers, all abilities are associated with a target number. So rolls made by the player heroes are made against 3 attribute target numbers for strength, heart, or wits. During character creation, the player generates 3 target numbers. Oh, 1 for each attribute. Oh, I think we saw that on the character sheet, didn't we? And so attribute target number is equal to 20 minus its corresponding attribute score. So an example, so scouting for the company, he has an awareness of 2, so he rolls feat dice of 2 success dice plus a feat die. And adding up the results, as awareness is a strength skill, the roll is compared to his strength target number, which is a 13. So with the success showing a 4 and a 5 and the feat dice showing an 8, he handily makes it, what's that, a 17. Nice. So you establish for your specific attributes all of your target numbers ahead of time. That's interesting. So it's not bonuses. There's not bonuses on your character sheets. There's target numbers. All right. So tweaking the target number, subtracting scores from 20 results in different thresholds that are appropriate to medium and long campaigns, and they present a challenge for inexperienced individuals, but hold up well as those characters advance in proficiency. So for shorter campaigns and one-shots, the players in the Lore Master may agree to derive target numbers by subtracting their attributes from 18 instead of 20. Interesting. And then the degrees of success. So if you're rolling, if you roll a Gandalf rune on the success, on the D12, and then you can also produce the Elvish rune icons on the D6s. So if no elfin icons are scored, the action was successful but didn't achieve anything beyond the bare minimum. If a single one was scored, then the player hero accomplishes, it was out of the ordinary, so a great success. 2 or more of the elven runes on the D6s will result in an absolutely exceptional and memorable success. Special successes for each elven icon rolled, a player can choose one of the options listed on the special skill successes on the next page. If a roll scores multiple icons, they're normally used to achieve multiple special results, such as assisting a fellow hero and doing it silently. Note, spending success icons does not detract from the numerical value of the result and does not reduce the overall success level. So you can spend those D6 icons to cancel a failure. So if a skill involves multiple players, you help another player who failed. So the failed roll is considered a success. Score 1 additional success. It requires multiple successes to be achieved. You get an additional one. Gain insight, so you can gain additional information. Helping a sick individual with healing, or spot a sentry with stealth. Go quietly. So your goal is done noiselessly without attracting attention. Make haste. You complete the task in a shorter time. Or widen influence. You can influence more than the specific number of subjects originally targeted. So as a general rule, each success icon corresponds to 1 additional subject or group of subjects. For example, if you rolled insight, you spot a second person acting suspiciously at the end. Nice. Yes, that's what I was feeling. Nice. So ribbon bookmark. So the die modifiers. So favored dice. This roll happens when a player possesses a special affinity for the task. And ill-favored. So kind of, so when making a favored roll, the player rolls 2 feat dice instead of 1, keeping the best results. And ill-favor is rolling 2 and taking the worst. Oh, and it is possible to roll both. When this happens, the roll is resolved normally. Yeah, they cancel each other out. Ill-favored player heroes at a time. An ability of an adversary or another special rule may directly make the player ill-favored. So you will just be rolling unlucky the whole time. Nice. Bonus success dice. If a player is attempting something favorable and employing a particular beneficial talent, then when that happens, the player may roll additional success dice. A hope bonus. So here's a little bit of the hope mechanic. A character's hope score is a pool of points representing a reserve of spiritual vigor that the hero draws from when confronting difficult odds or when a particularly good result is required. So hope can be spent to gain a die on a roll made. It is not possible to spend multiple hope to gain multiple dice. So only one at a time. Inspiration. Certain circumstances may result in a player becoming temporarily inspired. So you can spend one hope point. You get a hope bonus of D2 dice. Wow. Inspiration can be achieved mainly through invocation of a distinctive feature or the effect of cultural virtues. And then player heroes can make an effort to help others, support roles. So to do so, supporting characters may spend 1 point of hope to let the player gain a die. So you can give your hope to other players. Penalty success is magical success. So penalties are normally indicated, and the text says lose a die. Magical successes. So if you possess magical talents or artifacts, you can spend 1 point of hope. Yeah, so like Bilbo's ring was spend 1 point of hope and become invisible. So it's successful regardless of the target number. So bonuses and penalties are cumulative. So if you gain 1 die, but you and then gain 2 from spending hope while inspired, and lose 1 die, and lose 3, then you're just rolling straight anyhow. Not so subtle magic. Magical success is an outcome so remarkable and unusual that it may be unsettling to folk not used to such feats. Oh, interesting. And moreover, overt magical effects, when evoked for beneficial purposes, may sometimes be misinterpreted as many associate supernatural occurrences with the working of dark sorcery. Nice. So yeah, that'll come up in the rules for the Eye of Mordor. So conditions, yeah, we saw this on the character sheet as well. Miserable, weary, and wounded. So miserable means if you roll the Eye of Sauron, your action fails. Weary means that all results on the success die that come up showing a 1, 2, or 3 are considered to have given a result of 0. I see. So that's why they break up the dice, the d6s in half for the weary condition. And then wounded. Wounded, you remain active, but you risk being knocked out of combat and recover lost endurance more slowly. So then the character sheet, which is at the end. So die roll procedure. So once the necessity to roll a die has been determined, follow these steps. So yeah, just kind of walking you through how to put together your die pool. And there we go, an explanation of the character sheet. That's the one thing that they didn't include is I like when they give you a pad, especially if they have a nicely designed character sheet. They give you a pad of the character sheets with a little, nicer finish to them than you could get off of a printer, like an inkjet or a laser printer. So here's the glossary of all the terms and everything on your character sheet. That's great. That's a really nice way to describe everything. And then adventurers. So here's our character creation. So this is how to craft a player hero, drawn from the 6 heroic cultures. Nice. So they just walk you through. Here's all of the types of cultures. And yeah, here's the description of everything. So your attributes. And then how to derive your target numbers for each attribute, and then you derive stats. So attribute scores of the player heroes are used to determine the 3 stats of endurance, hope, and maximum hope, and your parry rating. Skills and combat proficiencies. Oh, wow. So you have to have at least a 3 to be good at something. So I think only Balin had a 3 with axes. Distinctive features, languages, and typical names. So many tongues. So different languages can provide intriguing role-playing opportunities if the lore master and the players are interested. This shouldn't get in the way of the fun, however. While Tolkien used linguistic differences among the various realms of Middle-earth to good narrative effect, he also found it simpler to avoid steep cultural barriers. All right, so yeah, a guide to using language. It's certainly worth investing. So here's the Bardings. The Bardings are the Northmen of noble origin. And the dwarven folk of Durin. So dwarves are the ancient and proud folk whose customs and traditions are most commonly unknown to outsiders. And then they give you... Oh, wow. So yeah, you can roll just a set. So you don't have to even roll your individual. You can just roll on a table to get your set of attributes, and then that will set up everything else for your characters. And then example names. The Elves of Lindon. So the fair folk of Eriador have dwelt in the Westlands since before the drowning of the Beleriand. They are all members of the Firstborn, displaying wisdom beyond the reaches of men. Oh, so that's interesting. Yeah, that makes it very quick to derive your stats. You're not rolling 4d6s again and again and again. The Hobbits of the Shire. So the Hobbits are small and merry folk possessing a love of time-honored traditions and respectable ways, and a strong dislike for anything outside of the ordinary. Yeah, so different maximums. And yeah, very balanced as well. So yeah, if you rolled a 6 on the attributes, you're going to get a 2 strength, but everything else will be a 6. Yeah, that's great. That's a very easy way to deal with character creation. The men of Bree, the inhabitants of Breeland, and its 4 villages lying about Bree Hill are the descendants of the ancient people that first dwelt in this region, known as Eriador. And then all their combat proficiencies. So choose axe or spear. Rangers of the North. The Rangers of the North are a secret people, severely diminished in number with the passing of 1,000 years. And examples of names, and then callings. So leaving home and setting off on the road is a courageous choice and often considered reckless by the heroes and of your hero's family and folk. So adventurers leave behind what they know, but what motivates this? So there are 6 callings to answer: the captain, the champion, the messenger, the scholar, the treasure hunter, and the warden. And then they describe. So there's your favored skills, and you get an additional distinctive skill, and then a shadow path. The lore of power, the curse of vengeance, the wandering madness. Nice. So this is what motivated you to become an adventurer. And then it has some mechanical aspects. So the warden chooses among awareness and healing, and then insight. And mark them as favored. Oh, that's right. And then previous experience. So the ability levels of newly created player heroes can now be raised to represent the experiences prior to the life of an adventurer. So players have 10 points to spend on raising skills and combat proficiencies. The cost of raising each ability is shown on the 2 tables to the right. The first table gives the cost for the skill, and the second shows the cost for combat proficiency. So how, to spend points to raise. That's nice. So your life before you were rolled. Nice. And then here's the war gear, and each culture says what weapons you can use. So we saw all of these on the cards. And so damage, injury, load, proficiency, and then additional notes. Useful items: any tool or instrument or device carried by a player or hero to perform one or more specific tasks is a useful item. Things like a hammer or a hunting knife, a coil of good rope, a lantern, a flint, or so on. These are items that you may gain that as an advantage in game terms, but also may allow you to do certain things. So your table, if a player is making a roll outside of combat using a skill associated with a useful item and the lore master deems this should grant the hero an advantage, then the player gains 1 die. And then load. Load is monitoring only as far as war gear and treasure. Oh, is it monitored only as far as war gear and treasure? All heroes are considered to be carrying without discomfort a reasonable amount of personal items. Players keeping track of their load score on their character sheet must update it throughout the changes during play. If they add or remove a piece of war gear or treasure, the player or hero normally carries the load rating immediately adjusts. And there is our ribbon. All right, Hobbit ponies and full-size horses. So for carrying all your treasure. And then starting reward and virtue. So determined by your stats. And then the company. Adventurers know the burdens are easier to bear when shared with others. And here's your patrons. And fellowship points, favorite callings. Oh, I see. So, yeah, based on your callings, this may determine who you would seek out. The adventure safe haven. In Eriador, the ideal choice of a starting safe haven is certainly the village of Bree, because it stands at the crossroads. Long have I wandered. So telling the story of how a player hero reached the location where the company first meets is a good way of introducing the character, such as a tale that tells the other players where heroes come from, and why they left, and possibly something about their abilities or aspirations. A fellowship rating. So the group of player heroes is more than a band of roving mercenaries brought together by mere necessity. It is a foundation. At its foundation are communal goals and mutual respect. The feeling of trust is created in the game by the company's fellowship score. Expressed by a numerical value, the fellowship is a pool of points shared among the player heroes that is mainly spent to recover lost confidence. So during the adventuring phase, the player heroes can spend their fellowship points to recover hope when resting. Nice. Yeah, I like that they specifically say, to distinguish it from Dungeons and Dragons or, Forbidden Lands or any other kind of fantasy-based, that fellowship mechanic, and then having it actually have a point value is a nice thing is good terms to put things in. And those, callings, I think, is another nice aspect of that, because none of them are particularly gruesome. It's not revenge and and accumulating great wealth. Experience. So characters in the One Ring change as the game progresses, as they overcome obstacles that fate presents them and complete the tasks that they have set out to accomplish. They find themselves transformed by the experience, much like people in real life. So in game terms, players earn points at the end of each session, at the end of the adventuring phase, and then spending them during the fellowship phase to improve their abilities and acquire new ones. Further adventure. So the career, raising an heir, creating an heir. Wow. So you can go from Bilbo to Frodo. Nice. So, so how the experience works. So all players gain 3 skill points at the end of every gaming session they attend. All players gain 3 adventure points at the end of the sessions they attend, and can spend them. So 3 and 3. Wow. So nothing. That's interesting. So there's nothing to kind of motivate thematic role-playing or gameplay or anything. So you get 3 and 3. Oh, so the Hobbits took part in 3 gaming sessions for a total of 9. You'll arrive 6 additional. All right. So how to spend them? Creating an era. So characteristics. Yeah, these are really nice. These full Double page spread. So here's the descriptions of the skills, how your favorite skill works. Strength, heart, and wits are the 3 categories, and then how they group the skills based on those. Skill groups, and then here are all the skills: awareness, awe, battle, courtesy, craft, and hearten, explore, healing, hunting, insight, lore, persuade, riddle, scan, song, stealth, and travel. And then your combat proficiencies based on your kind of origin, your people, distinctive features. So players who have played the same adventure for a long time might eventually grow tired of the distinctive traits chosen by their player hero and feel need to change them, so they can replace an old trait with a new one during the Yule phase. Distinctive features list, so bold, cunning, eager, faithful, fair, fair-spoken. Oh, I see. So, for example, fierce. When provoked or when you deem it necessary, you may allow your savage side to emerge. Yeah, so kind of role-playing cues. Nothing that is too mechanical. It looks like more role-playing based. So endurance and hope. So endurance represents the player hero's resistance to being taken... Resistance, and is taken into account whenever the adventure is subjected to some sort of harm. In particular, player heroes lose endurance during combat, and they may suffer physical damage from any source or the consequence of strenuous action. And then they talked about, of course, weary is used in conjunction with the carried load. Endurance determines when the weight and bulk of equipment affects the player's performance. Fatigue, traveling, causes the player heroes to accumulate fatigue points, representing a form of exhaustion caused by protracted loss of sleep and general discomfort. So when gained, fatigue points temporarily raise the traveler player hero's total load, effectively making it easier to become weary. Oh, interesting. That's a nice mechanic. I was wondering how those things balance. And then resting, of course, is short rest, prolonged rest. So short rest will recover a number of lost endurance points equal to your strength rating, and prolonged will recover all lost endurance. Hope. Hope is the hero's reserve for spiritual fortitude and positivity. So that is related to miserable and recurring hope. Spend fellowship points or take a break from adventuring. Oh, so equal to your heart score. So during the fellowship phase, and then resting. Finally, the player who are down to 0 hope recover a single hope point once they have taken a prolonged rest. So serious injury, endurance loss should not be confused with being wounded. While being hit in combat results in a loss of endurance, adventurers are only at risk of death when they are hit by a piercing blow, a precise attack that threatens to bypass all armor and defenses and completely causes a serious injury. Here's our standard of living. So poor, frugal, common, prosperous, rich, very rich. So in addition to affecting a hero's starting gear, a standard of living comes into play when it must be determined whether an adventurer can afford to pay for something out of pocket, while buying a meal at an inn or paying for fishing or renting. Oh, nice. So we're not counting coins. Nice. And each one of those gives you a treasure rating. Hoarding riches, having several chests filled with gold under the bed makes it easier for an adventurer to go around with a pouch filled with coins. So players record their hero's individual treasure rating on their character sheet. As the treasure rating rises, the player heroes see their standard of living rise. Oh, I see. Yeah, so when you get to a certain treasure rating, then, your standard of living will change. And here's the points. So over 300 is very rich. And then the war gear, descriptions of all the weapons and armor. And then we have the stats for how those work on the cards. Valor and wisdom. So wisdom expresses the player's trust in their own capabilities and self-confidence and capacity for good judgment. Valor measures a hero's courage as tempered by dangerous deeds. Individuals of valor are willing to place themselves in danger for the safety of others. Rewards. So there are 6 types of rewards. For each one indicates, and in brackets, the type of gear you can receive that can receive that upgrade. All upgrades are applied only once to the same piece of gear. So in the world of growing darkness, trade is mostly limited to small areas and often practiced among trusted individuals. I see. So upgrading your weapons and armor. So close-fitting armor, a cunning make, fell for a weapon, grievous for a weapon, keen for a weapon, or a reinforced shield. So if a hero loses or breaks any piece of war gear during play, they can replace it or fix it at no cost on the next settlement when they reach, or during another appropriate moment. Nice. So, of course, based on their wealth. Named weapons. Warriors and adventurers often name items of war gear that prove themselves worthy. This is most common with blades and spears, rarer with helms and shields, and almost unknown with armor. Virtues. So heroes from all cultures choose their first virtue during character creation and may choose a new one each time they gain a new rank in wisdom. So confidence, dour-handed, hardiness, mastery, nimbleness, and prowess, and each of those have a mechanical consequence, and then cultural virtues. So each of the different cultures has their own set of virtues. So Cram, Dragon Slayer, Dwarf Friend, Fierce Shot, High Destiny, Language of Birds. The dwarves have Barak Khazad. Broken Spells, Dark for Dark Business, Durin's Way, and Stone Hard. And Untamable Spirit. And then Elf Virtue, Against this Unseen, Deadly Archery, Elbereth, Glynthanio, Elvish Dreams, Gleam of Wrath, Memory of Ancient Days. Hobbits have The Art of Disappearing, Brave at a Pinch, Small Folk, Sure at the Mark, and 3 is Company, Tough as Old Tree Roots. And then the Men of Bree, Bree Pony, Defiance, Desperate Courage, Friendly Familiar, Strange News from Bree, The Art of Smoking. I'm going to practice the Art of Smoking. Okay, what's the mechanical function of the Art of Smoking? Whenever you regain 1 or more points of hope, you recover 1 additional. All right. Smoking calms you. The Rangers have Endurance, the Ranger, Foresight of the Kindred, Air of Armor, Royalty Revealed. So everyone is actually the Secret King of Gondor. Strength of Will, Ways of the Wild. Nice. The Adventuring Phase. So there we go. So Adventuring Phase is Introduction, Scenes, End of Session, Combat. So Heroic Ventures. A truly seasoned adventurer is familiar with the trials and challenges that accompany the dangerous lifestyle of wandering heroes, traveling to distant lands and unknown places, fighting dangerous enemies, and meeting new people and important personalities. So this section offers detailed rules for those activities, including combat. So combat sequence. So opening volleys. So anybody at a distance can shoot, and then close quarter rounds, surprise attacks, and then stances. Yeah, so we looked at those on the stance cards, determining who you can engage with and if you get a benefit. So you can get a bonus to your attack, but then people also get a bonus to attack you. So you exchange blows, different weapons, and rearward was, of course, the ranged stance. Engagement. So yeah, they're unlike some of the other systems. There weren't initiative cards. The one kind of 1 through 10 initiative cards. So did it say the onset of battle before the battle begins? Combat begins. The lore master should make sure that not all of the battle unfolds in the same way, based in the circumstances on ongoing story, and paying particular attention to the plans and preparations of the players and their strategic options. So there we have ambush options and stances. Engagement. So once all the players have determined their stance All the combatants fighting in close combat must engage one or more opponents using miniatures or cardboard stand-ups or tokens to represent the player heroes, and their opponents can speed up the process. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I wonder, they didn't do any tokens or anything as part of the game, but yeah, that would be useful. So engaged combat, combatants remain as such until all opposition is defeated or leaves combat. So more enemies than players, more players than enemies. It's action resolution. So the actions of all combatants are resolved, and the members of the company go first. When all the player heroes have resolved their actions, then the lore master will resolve all the actions of the adversaries involved in the fight. Engagement limits. So usually player heroes can engage in close combat by up to 3 human-sized creatures or 2 large creatures, such as trolls. Oh, that's right. So doing scale. So unengaged. During a combat round, it may happen that a hero that was previously engaged in close combat finds themselves unengaged. When their turn to act comes, for example, their main adversary had been killed. So the enemy escapes the field of battle. So when this happens, the hero is free to choose another adversary to attack in close combat, keeping in mind the engagement limits and size and all that good stuff. So resolving attacks. So the in general terms, adversaries may perform a main action and a secondary action just like the players do. Often the lore master will opt to have them simply take one main action and to speed up gameplay. And resolving attacks, endurance loss, special damage, piercing blows that then generate critical. So an attack roll that produces a piercing blow on a 10 or a Gandalf rune results a result on a fiend dice. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you roll the 10 or 11, then that is a piercing blow. So characters that are hit by a piercing blow immediately roll a feat die plus a number of success die equal to their protection value of the armor worn. Oh, so that's how we do armor rolls. So their protection rolls. The target number of the roll is equal to the injury rating of the weapon used for the attacker. If the roll fails, then the target of the attack has received a life-threatening blow, a wound. Talking with the enemy. Often the company faces creatures capable of speech. Orcs and the most intelligent among trolls can speak a debased version of common. For example, dragons can outwit in conversation even the smartest adventurer. This means that violence need not be the only way to survive in a combat encounter. Here's our weapons tables and our wounds. So when a player hero is wounded for the first time, they immediately check the wounded box on their character sheet and then proceed to roll wound severity on the table below using a feat die, so a d12. So the Gandalf rune, 11, moderately injured, 1 to 10, severe injury, and Sauron is the grievous injury. You are knocked unconscious with 0 endurance and are now dying. Oof. First aid. A successful healing roll may reduce the severity of an injury by 1 day, plus 1 day for each Elven rune icon, minimum of 1 day. Dying heroes. Dying heroes must receive successful healing rolls within approximately 1 hour, or they will die. All right. Combat tasks. Intimidate foe, rally comrades. Oh yeah, we saw that. Some of those rolls. Protect companion or prepare shot. So you make a scan roll to prepare your shot. You make a battle roll to protect your companions. And complications. Moderately hindered, severely hindered, advantages, moderate advantage, greater advantage. Nice. And then council, so social encounters. So for council interactions, you set resistance, you do an introduction, and then an interaction. And here's where all your social skills and roles come in. Awarding effective role-playing. Here we go. The players and lore master may ask themselves about how much impact the interactions between them should have on the final outcomes of a council. Should a good die roll be considered more important than clever player decisions? The right answer is to give both equal weight. As it happens with any action that implies the possibility of failure, players during a council describe their conduct and then an appropriate skill roll is made. If the delivered speech touches topics that are relevant to the company's goals that are deemed important by the audience, then the lore master can allow a player to gain 1 die or even 2 on a skill roll. So there is a way to reward role play just on individual council rolls. The journey. But the end of council, a success means the company reaches the number of successes, beats the council's resistance, or failure means the company does not, and they now can choose to simply fail, or if asked for the approval of the lore master, they can opt to achieve their stated goal, but for a price. And then disaster, they fail at all available rolls. So journey. So applying the rules of journeys requires the use of the map of the traversed area and collaboration between the lore master and the players to determine what happens along the way. So the front end papers of the player contain the player's map and represents the geographical lore of the experienced adventurers that is deeper knowledge that is possessed by the average denizens of Eriador. So the rules for a journey and journey resolution have been devised to make traveling across the land a vital component of gameplay, but they may not mean they're not meant to be used every time the company is on the road. In particular, they should be rarely used when the heroes are on their way back home, because the main effect of adventuring, so player heroes, is not relevant if the members of the company are headed for their safe haven. So the traveling company, we saw they have the 4 different journey rolls that were on the cards. So you set a journey path. Tracing the path, the players must consider their itinerary and can rarely be drawn in as the crow flies. This is by connecting the starting points to the destination in a straight line. Instead, they must consider the lie of the land. When the lore master checks the map in the back in the end papers and draws the company's itinerary on a copy of the journey log. Using it. It's a hex grid. Wait. Oh, there we go. So there are hexes, but they're only, I guess, for the lore master. So when the company is using the map to determine their journey, the lore master can then refer to this and hex crawl them across. Interesting. Okay. So there is. So yeah, let's do a little quick contrast to that. So there's the player's map and their knowledge of Eriador. And then here is the lore master's information and how things are broken up in hexes. So you can basically determine the types of terrain and then, keep track of how long a journey would take. Interesting. So that's hidden information. That's why it's not on the big paper map either. All right. So the journey sequence is set a path, make marching tests, and then ending the journey. Perilous locations. Oh, here's the journey sheet itself. Event resolution. So select targets, determine events, and resolve events. So journey event tables: terrible misfortune, despair, ill choices, mishaps, shortcuts, chance meetings, and joyful sights. Nice. Yeah, we've got some fun mechanic event types along the journey. Wow. Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. And then the fellowship phase. So talk about set your duration, set destination, and perform your updates. Yeah, so then you can spend your points from previous adventures to Boost the character, choose your undertaking, and then... Oh, so Yule. Here's something they've mentioned a few times. So approximately once every 3 fellowship phases, winter comes. So I guess a fellowship phase is a season. And with the end of the current year, normally the company spends the entire cold season as a single prolonged fellowship phase. Life in the wild is unforgiving, and adventurers prefer to have a roof over their heads when the winds are howling. So in most cases, the company disbands temporarily during this occasion of the Yule festivities, as each player hero takes the chance to return home and enjoy some time among friends and folk. Interesting. So during the Yule fellowship phase, all player heroes earn a number of bonus skill points equal to their wits rating, and add that amount to the total they accumulate during the adventure phase. You can change useful items in the fellowship phase undertaking. So during an ordinary fellowship phase, the company as a group chooses a single undertaking. During the Yule phase, each player chooses one undertaking instead. And finally, each fellowship phase, the company is entitled to choose one additional undertaking by selecting it among those that are listed for free based on the callings represented amongst on their player for each player hero. So gather rumors, heal scars, meet patron, ponder storied and figured maps, raise an heir, recount a story, strengthen fellowship, study magical items, and write a song. So each of these have mechanical effects. Singing songs. So when a company is involved in a council, combat, or journey, the player heroes may sing a song and rouse themselves to pursue their goals with renewed purpose. To do so, first choose a song from among those in the company's song list. Wow. That is appropriate to the current venture, and then make a song roll. Heroes succeeding in the roll ignore the effects of being weary or the length of the heroic venture. Singing a song is considered a secondary action. So each song may be used by a company once for each adventuring phase. Mark off the song as it is spent. Wow. So yeah, so writing songs will give you then those abilities. The lay song for the council, the song of victory for combat, and a walking song for journeying. Wow, interesting. Make those song rolls. Look at that. Yeah, I really like they do the big full color arts in the middle. So what are we doing? The lore master. So here's all the instructions for running the games and how to handle different scenes and the combat. Qualities. So lore master is director, referee, narrator, and unreliable narrator. Tools for the lore master. Skills and endeavors. Sources of injury. Failing rolls during a skill endeavor. A failed roll made while attempting to complete a skill endeavor may mean very different things based on the specific circumstances. So simple failure, failure with woe, or disaster. Yes, similar to the council. Opposed actions. While unlikely, it may happen that a player hero is trying to accomplish something in direct opposition to another player hero. When this happens, action rolls become opposed. Opposed rolls. Nice. Source of injuries, endurance loss, and then the lore master characters. So naming lore master characters. A quick way to give substance to the lore master characters is to give them a name. In a game set in Middle-earth, this is easier said than done, as each culture follows specific naming conventions. To avoid fumbling through the rules each time a player asks the name of one of your characters, it would be wise for the lore master to keep a list handy. So go through the recommended names in the lore culture area. So lore masters and die rolls. It's not enough. Lore master and players react to the usual rules for action resolution, considering whether lore master's characters are seen as obstacles by the company. To better define the character, a lore master chooses an occupation, a field of expertise, and then adds one to the two distinctive features. Yeah, this should be a quick build. Some tables. I wonder if the DM screen has, or the lore master screen has any of that on it. Yeah, so giving advice about how to Do quick NPCs. Shadow tests. So here we go. Shadow points. So challenging an almost all-powerful enemy and facing its terrible minions is bound to instill a sense of fear and doubt. So in the course of play, player heroes see their shadow score ebb and flow as they gain points during the adventure play and as a consequence of their actions, and when they possibly lose them by making shadow tests, by strengthening their resolve, or by mending their spiritual hurt during the fellowship phase. So shadow tests, when a shadow test is passed, the hero reduces the number of shadow points gained by 1 on a successful roll, plus 1 for each success icon. Consequence of shadows. So creeping threat. Shadow becomes truly dangerous when the number of points accumulated by the player matches or overcomes their current hope. When this happens, player heroes become miserable and see all of their rolls hampered by the fact that rolling the Eye of Sauron icon on the fate die results in a failure. I see. So once you are miserable, then mechanically that's more than just a 0. Player heroes whose shadow score reaches maximum hope rating are so overburdened by their fears that they become ill-favored on all rolls. And we saw that before. Yeah, you're always rolling both feat die and taking the worse. Harden will, in game terms, player heroes whose accumulated shadows do not yet match that of the maximum hope may choose to remove all of their current shadow by replacing it with a single shadow scar. Oh, wow. A shadow scar is a permanent shadow point that can be removed only during the Yule phase by choosing heal scars. Wow, but otherwise is considered a normal point for all purposes. Wow, so you can take a shadow scar that cannot be removed during play. So sources of shadow are dread, greed, misdeeds. There's some examples of sources of dread: natural or grueling kills, harrowing experiences, experience directly the power of the enemy. And then misdeeds, violent threats, manipulating others, theft or plunder, torment. Oh, interesting. So yeah, if you do, kind of immoral or terrible things, murder, willingly taking action in the services of the enemy. Wow, 4+1 shadow scar. There's consequences for all misdeeds. Adventurers may reduce or cancel the effects of sorcery with a shadow test. So sorcery is said, that's right, they said some people have adverse reactions to seeing magic. So it is said that those who are in the favor of the Dark Lord are rewarded with evil knowledge. Some be able to wield such knowledge for terrible effect, twisting it into forms of dark magic. Adventurers gain shadow when they fall victim of dreadful spells of the enemy and his minions. Madness. Player heroes whose shadow score reaches their maximum hope rating become ill-favored and on all rolls. And to play out a bout of madness, players must describe how their character loses control for a short period of time. Betrayal, fear, lust, rage. So after that, they are no longer ill-favored and remove all of their current shadow points, but they advance 1 step along the shadow path. Ooh. The shadow path. So 4 steps: spiteful, brutal, cruel, and murderous. Wow, you can do your whole Smeagol journey. Nice. Dragon sickness, lore of power, lore of secrets, path of despair, and wandering path. So there are 4 different paths. Each with 4 different steps for each of 6 paths. Succumbing to shadows. The next time that a shadow score reaches their maximum hope rating, they do not become ill-favored, but are taken out of play instead. Oof. Flawed heroes. Flawed adventurers haven't lost the possibility of being heroes. Many characters are described in the books to display the influence of the shadow to some measure, certainly Boromir or Frodo, but also Aragorn and even Gandalf. In most cases, they are able to keep their weakness in check, avoiding corruption in the most dire consequences. Using flaws. If a player is using a skill that can plausibly be affected by a flaw, the roll is made ill-favored. And then they go through the Curse of Vengeance, Dragon Sick, Lore of Power, Lore of Secrets, Path of Despair, Wandering madness. Adversaries. So here's the... So all game information regarding adversaries is presented using a standardized format. So attribute levels, might and endurance, hate and resolve. Injury, armor, proficiencies, fell abilities. Most adversaries display an array of special talents representing their innate powers and behavioral oddities. So all adversaries' fell abilities are listed in their individual stat boxes. The lore master may give additional levels of depth to descriptions of adversaries by giving them one or more distinctive features. Use the following. So evil men, ruffians, hostile southerners, orcs, great orcs, orcs of the north, goblin archers, trolls, great cave trolls, stone trolls, undead, wights, wraiths, marsh dwellers, wolves of the wild, wargs, werewolves, and then treasure. So on average, the company should find a maximum of 2 hordes during an adventure phase, a lesser horde and a greater horde. As shown in the horde table below, the value of a horde of treasure points is determined by rolling 1 to 2 successes. Nice. So solitary troll, horde, old horde, dwarf horde, ancient horde, and then what is in a horde? Magical treasure table, a marvelous artifact, a wondrous item, or a famous weapon or armor. So each Gandalf rune or Eye of Sauron result corresponds to the discovery of a magical piece of treasure. Extraordinary precious items from stories. The Arkenstone, the Ring of Barahir, the Necklace of Girion. Carrying treasure. Creating precious objects. The value of precious objects in treasure points is the amount of the lore master assigns to it, and its rating is generated from the horde discovered by the company. Wow. Treasure hoards. Precious objects, the form, material, and craftsmanship. So you roll some d6s. Gems and jewels. Treasure index. A treasure index is a listing of all the magical items that can be part of the campaign. When something is uncovered with a magical treasure roll, the lore master will refer to the treasure index to check exactly what was brought to light. Compiling a treasure index. When compiling the magical treasure index, the lore master includes many marvelous artifacts. Wow. Blessing tables to determine a skill affected by a blessing. Famous weapons and armor. So each time a player hero are entitled to gain a new reward as a consequence of gaining a new rank in valor, they may choose instead to activate one quality of famous weapon or armor that belongs to them. Bane weapons. So in addition to being possibly more effective against this type of creature that they were crafted to defeat, Bane weapons are destructive elements that be connected to the creature and are the object of the Bane, and would immediately be recognized as such by them. For example, orcs cannot dare touch a blade forged for the bane of their kind, and a sword created for the destruction of giant spiders could easily cut through the thickest webs. Enchanting. Wow, biting dart, mithril armor. Oh, cursed items. Generally, only magical items can be cursed, but if the lore master wishes, it is of course possible to lay a curse upon a heap of gold or a chest of precious gems. Discovering the One Ring. Here we go, the titular One Ring. So Bilbo's discovery of the One Ring in Gollum's cave is a shining example of predestination as discussed on 161. Bilbo was meant to find the ring and pass it over to Frodo. Perhaps the lore master of Bilbo's campaign was planning very far ahead indeed, or maybe he didn't even realize at the time that what they created. The goal might have been merely to give the burglar a marvelous artifact bestowed with a blessing of stealth. But how can the ruling ring of Sauron be created under the magical treasure rules? The short answer is it can't. It's the greatest magical artifact that was ever created in the history of Middle Earth, but let's indulge for a little bit. The ring would probably have a blessing of stealth, capable of making its wearer invisible. Wears ambition and desire, so awe for a mighty warrior, battle for a leader of men, and craft for someone who would desire to create things. But what about the curses? Okay, so just talking about how that can exist according to these rules. So the Eye of Mordor. So in general terms, the eye awareness rating of a company is based on the number of player heroes in the group with their heroic culture as represented in it. So the eye awareness is a rating measuring the level of attention the enemy reserves for the company. When the eye awareness of a company reaches a certain limit, it triggers the hunt. Oof. Nice. A starting score. So hobbits or men are 0, dwarves are 1, elves are 2, high elves are also 2. So the lore master must keep track of the instances and update the eye awareness of the company, raising the eye awareness by 1 point whenever a die roll made by a player outside of combat produces. Ooh, so that does have another invisible mechanic. So it raises your eye awareness. Shadow gain using magic. So spells cast by a wizard or another lore master character capable of such feats provoke the increase of the eye awareness score by 1. In case of a lesser effect, 2 points for a major spell and 3 for powerful. Wow. So treasure, and so the hunt. So your eye awareness can trigger a hunt using the rules explained below. The eye awareness level of a company grows during the adventuring phase. So at any given time, the hunt threshold of a company determined by the region where the company's heroes are located. So based on this region table. So as long as the eye awareness rating of a company is inferior to the hunt threshold, they're considered hidden. Should it match or exceed the hunt threshold, the group should be revealed to the eye, and something will happen as a consequence. As soon as the lore master has played out a revelation episode, the company is considered to be hidden again. So they get revealed. Source of hostility may differ. So a company that is revealed by the eye when the eye awareness score, so when it happens, the lore master will introduce a revelation episode, a dangerous event reflecting the increased hostility. So the episode, determine the precise nature of a revelation episode. The lore master should weigh the circumstances. So different examples. Out of the frying pan, loath spell, do not tempt me, lies and threats, wariness of heart. Wow. So there's a lot going on. It's interesting, the kind of invisible mechanics that are building. Very thematic. It works really well. So here is all of the explanation of the world. So the background of Eriador, the Shire. Similar to some of the background of the Shire we got in the previous. Let's see, Breland. Yeah, so some of the things. So events of the Prancing Pony, the Fairy Goblin Raids, Summer Smoke Ring Festival. Wow, so a lot of things to add flavor to the events, and then the different inns. The Greenway, ruins along the Greenway, the Barrow Downs, the North Downs, ruins and broken stones, Southern Downs of Wuthering Hills, Weathertop. Nice. Mount Graham. Yeah, so a lot of nice background to, and I guess it's good that they limited the area so they can go into a lot of detail then, and have all those things related. And of course, then future expansions can open up the other areas of Middle Earth. Oh, here we go. So this other chapter for adventuring, talks about the when, where, and what of the adventure. So keeping it thematic. A simple way to start out on the right foot with the One Ring campaign is to pay tribute to the source material at the very beginning. This is a quick and easy way to establish the right atmosphere. Here are some examples. Shadow of the past. There and back again, over the hill and under the hill, a knife in the dark, and riddles in the dark. Oh, nice. So do some thematic storytelling. Why and who. And then the appendix. And another nice piece of art. All right. So here's a explanation of how the patrons work. Bilbo's magic ring. So Bilbo will have this ring the whole time. Círdan, Gandalf the Grey, Glorian the Fair, and then landmarks. Oh, so how to establish a landmark. So the name, the rumor, the background, put it on the map, locations, schemes, and trouble. And here is the Star of the Mist. So here is the first, so the background for the first adventures. And also, and just as they talked about, there's little boxes breaking out for the lore master how to help run this. So this is the little starting adventure that they give you in the core rule book. And of course, you have the 5 adventures in the starter set for everyone playing hobbits and dwarves. Oh, this is nice. So tutorials about setting everything up, schemes and troubles, nameless things, and then some tables for rolling. Oh, that's right, nameless things. So the darkest legends of the dwarves whisper of ancient things living in the pools and lakes and remote dales, lurking in the dark tunnels dug by the orcs that came to the mountains. So little is known about these things. No one ever gave them a name, so they do not seem creations of the great enemy Morgoth, but they are older than his lieutenant Sauron and are unknown to him. Their accursed breed must be akin to that of the monstrous Ungoliant, the mother of all spiders, but they must be something else entirely. That's right, so creating nameless things. So tables to give them a name. So children of darkness. So you must make a number of rolls. The thing can be described as when first encountered it, a rumor about the thing, where the thing is remembered, characteristics of the thing, attack forms, fell abilities. Wow. So you can roll your Balrogs and your things in lakes outside of gates. And that is everything. So there's the index. Wow. So a table for your nameless things. That's too bad we don't have a pad of these. I like how they did these character sheets. It'd be nice if we had some of these instead of having to print them off to get that distressed paper look. Nice. Oh, no, we got both. Oh, and here's this is the journey path sheet for the lore master. So here's all of your hexes that you can use, that you can refer to here to lay out, and then everything that happens, who's on what journey rolls, and take care of your fatigue and all of your events. Nice. So in the PDF, I'm sure, you can print these off from there. And that is it. Wow. So that is the One Ring. So the second edition of the One Ring with looks like refined mechanics and a lot of nice things going on. I like the hunt, the eye pursuing you, as well as the corruption. that you can face. So there's a lot of really good thematic stuff. They really tried to tie together a lot of things, and I'm sure a lot of this was in the existing in the first edition of the One Ring. But yeah, I like how they refined things. So some fun dice rolling mechanics and some nice status. I like the status things that you can be dealing with, and how they kind of create more and more complicated. You can be ill-fated and exhausted, and both physically and mentally broken down. So wow, that is everything. So this was what was included in the Fellowship of the Ring. I guess we can pull back out, So this is what was included in the Fellowship of the Ring pledge, and both of these are now available on the web store for Free League. And so kind of close, their fulfillment and they're releasing them for retail came kind of close because of all the delays. And I'll put a link to the digital version of both of these. So if you don't need a physical book, you can work with PDFs. Drive-Thru RPG has PDFs for both of these, the starter set and then the core rulebook, as well as the Lore Master screen with the Rivendell booklet, which I believe has more adventures. So really nice quality for everything, and the systems are very thematic and really feel well tied to the setting. I really think this is a great and I've always been a little I've known Middle Earth role playing has been around since the beginning of role playing. People have always, because this was a world that inspired tabletop fantasy RPGs, that people would want to do this, but I've always been kind of worried about how would you deal with Gandalf and Bilbo, and I think that making them patrons, like they exist in this world, and setting it at a certain time, so you can be interacting with these famous characters from the literature, but they work mechanically so that you're not everyone doesn't want to play them, and you have character heroes that can increase in ability and everything. So yeah, I'm really happy with what I saw in that book, and I'm very interested I think we're going to be starting as hobbits in the starter set, but eventually moving into player heroes in other settings. And I'm curious how they're going to support, because there is a lot of books supporting the first edition in the different parts of Middle Earth. So I'll be excited to see how they continue, and I hope they keep doing these really beautiful books. I don't think you can get quite a feel from camera how nice this is, but it's a nice, really nice linen texture on the book itself, and that nice spot varnish. Yeah, it's really, I don't mind that I didn't get the super special edition 10th anniversary version, because this is really nice, and it's got the excellent artwork on the front. Okay, so thank you so much for hanging in there through a look at an unboxing of all of the One Ring second edition by Free League. So please like this video to help us get our videos out there, and subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified when we do this again. So as things come in and Kickstarters are fulfilled, we'll open them up and take a look through, so you get an idea. If you didn't back it, or you're still waiting for yours or whatever, give you an idea of what to expect, and yeah, just a feel for what is out there and how the second edition actually plays. So we will be playing this at some point, and I'll get back to everybody about how that was, and I'm really excited to see how all the mechanics kind of come together. And we'll be getting that volume of the adventures that was going to be released digitally, but then they reached a stretch goal that would get them printed. So I'll go through that with you when that arrives. So thank you for joining me, and please keep an eye out for more unboxings. There's another giant unboxing coming, if I can figure out how to actually put it on the table, and we'll do more of this soon. So thanks for watching, and give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Goodbye.